There are 4 unique ways to reference the direction of a vector in the cardinal reference system. I will do 4 examples, 1 in each quadrant. In the first quadrant, between the north and the east, we can put in our vector and recognize that there is an angle measure below the vector and above the vector. So let's say that we have 20 degrees below the vector, so between the vector and east, and what we say to describe this vector direction is that this vector is 20 degrees north of east. Okay. We can also say east east 20 degrees north. And so both of those tell us that the vector has rotated from the east towards the north 20 degrees. We recognize that north and south and east and west are perpendicular to each other, so we can measure between the north and the vector an angle of 70 degrees. And we describe this vector using the 70-degree measure as 70 degrees east of north, or north 70 degrees east. And all 4 of those different notations describe the direction of this same vector. Let's look at a vector in the third quadrant, so between west and south. So I'll put my vector in and make this 10 degrees and make this 80 degrees. So using the 10 degrees, we would say that this vector is 10 degrees south of west. Or we can say that this vector is west 10 degrees south. Using the angle of 80 degrees to describe the direction of this vector, we would say that the vector is 80 degrees west of south, or south 80 degrees west. And so what that tells us, both of those, tells us that from the south our vector has rotated 80 degrees towards the west, or from the west our vector has rotated 10 degrees towards the south. Let's look at the fourth quadrant, so between south and east, and here we have a vector with its direction or its angle of measurement. Let's go 30 degrees and 60 degrees. So pause if you want, try to label this and then turn it back on so that you can see if you're doing it correctly. This is 30 degrees south of east, or east 30 degrees south. Using the 60 degrees, it is 60 degrees south, that's 60 degrees east of south. Let me correct that. 60 degrees east of south, or south 60 degrees east. Finally, we're going to do a vector in the second quadrant, so between north and west, and let's use 40 degrees and 50 degrees. So our vector in that quadrant can be said to be 40 degrees west of north, or north 40 degrees west. Using the 50 degrees, this vector direction is 50 degrees north of west, or west, that's correct, west 50 degrees north. It's imperative that you can draw and label a vector diagram from a written description, and it's also important that you can create a written description of the direction of a vector from a diagram.